This is huge breaking news. Came out today. Julian Assange implies murdered DNC staffer was WikiLeaks source. This is kind of a big deal. And, for a long time, I always thought these Clinton murder conspiracy theories were just tinfoil hat kind of things that a lot of people on the far, far right would use to try to, make the Clintons look bad. But if you sit back, this is probably the most evidence I've seen so far that kind of leans towards there being a pattern here, and there's been a pattern here. I will say that there are more people dead that have been associated with the Clintons than I think any other political person in modern history, or if not all of American history. You take any other president or presidential candidate and look through their history, you don't have nearly the many body count deaths that the Clintons have had. And all these deaths, none of them are natural causes. These are all like people shot, people committing suicide, all these deaths that should be extremely rare for the most part. Especially around people who are successful and people who are, involved in the political process. I mean, these people are not just randomly offing themselves or victims of crime. I mean, typically crime is in inner cities where, granted this guy was shot in D.C., but the point is, typically it's kind of gang violence or typical crime you would see where the person knows the other person or they're shot because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. But let's go ahead and take a look at this. So there's an interview here, and I'll play it in just a moment, but basically Assange was speaking to a Dutch television program, and he earlier announced a $20,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of Seth Rich's killer, and that's a tweet right here. Now, why would WikiLeaks offer $20,000 reward for information leading to the conviction for the murder of this guy, Seth Rich, who was a DNC staffer? It's pretty obvious why, and let's take a look here.
Donald Trump has had a disastrous few weeks. If you look at the polls, he needs a miracle. In the American political lexicon,
I don't know about these polls. I saw the quick change in the polls, and I looked at some of the polling data, and this is just a side note real quick. They're definitely polling more Democrats than Republicans by a factor of about 10 to 15%. Now, I don't know if that makes a big difference in the overall polling or not, but the polling has changed a bit. And typically this doesn't happen to presidential candidates. They don't move from a point of, because I think Trump was up like 4 to, depending on the poll, 4 to 10 points, and I think the minimum he was up was around 3 to 4 points. Now he's in a deficit of 10. They don't typically move 14 plus points that quickly. And there's nothing that really came out that changed anything. So I kind of question the polling there.
there's such a thing as the October surprise. The stuff that you're sitting on, is an October surprise in there? Do you even know what you're sitting on?
WikiLeaks never sits on material. Whistleblowers go to significant efforts to get us material, and often very significant risks. There's a 27-year-old works for the DNC who was shot in the back, murdered just 2 weeks ago for unknown reasons as he was walking down the street in Washington. So
that was just a robbery, I believe, wasn't it?
No, there's no finding. So
what are you suggesting? What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that our sources take risks, and they become concerned to see things occurring like that.
But was he one of your sources then? I mean,
we don't comment on who our sources are.
And there it is. I mean, it's pretty much laid out clearly. He's saying this was the source of the DNC leak, and now he was shot in the back and murdered on the street for no reason, apparently. Let's just finish this up and we'll have some more comments.
I make the suggestion about a young guy being shot in the streets of Washington.
Because we have to understand how high the stakes are in the United States, and that our sources are, our sources face serious risks That's why they come to us.
Our sources face serious risks. That's why they come to us. I mean, you couldn't get any clearer than this.
So we can protect their anonymity.
But it's quite something to suggest a murder. That's basically what you're doing.
Well, that others have suggested that. We are investigating to understand what happened in that situation with Seth Rich. I think it is a concerning situation. There's not a conclusion yet. We wouldn't be willing to state a conclusion, but we are concerned about it. And more importantly, a variety of WikiLeaks sources are concerned when that kind of thing happens.
Yeah, and there it is. I mean, it's pretty much laid out on the table. Assange has basically said, this is our source, he was murdered. And there you go. Let's move here. Police have said that they believe the motive was robbery and that there's no evidence Rich's murder was connected to his work. But Rich's father has said the 4 a.m. murder in which Rich was shot several times from behind did not appear to be a robbery, as his son's wallet and watch were not taken. And that's kind of important, because a lot of times, you know, I should say the majority of times, the robber is going to take the wallet at a minimum. There's credit cards in there that they can use, at least in the short term, you know, before they're canceled. Obviously, the guy would have been dead, so he wouldn't have been able to cancel his credit cards. They could have ran up a bunch of charges that morning, that night. That wasn't done, apparently, according to Rich's father. So, you know, and typically robberies, they don't just walk up behind you, shoot you a bunch of times, and then walk away. I mean, typically, you know, they rob you first. They're not going to randomly just kill people. They typically will, hey, this is a robbery, give me your money, whatever. You know, and even if they do shoot you right off the bat, you know, chances are they're going to take your wallet and probably your watch, because it can be sold on the streets. And when the police found him, he was still conscious and breathing. He was conscious. We don't know if he said anything. If he did, he may have indicated whether a robbery had taken place. He would know. Police have no suspects. Of course. WikiLeaks reward adds to a $25,000 reward posted by the Washington police. So basically, you just go in to talk about the email dump of the DNC files. Basically showed the Clinton campaign and the DNC colluding to deny Bernie Sanders the nomination. So that's pretty much it. I mean, this is pretty big news. I don't know if anyone's going to pick this up. I'm glad there's kind of alternative news sources out there on YouTube. And you know, go ahead and leave a comment below. Do you think that this is related? Now, normally with these Clinton conspiracies, I always thought they were just tinfoil hat conspiracies about all these people who are dying around the Clintons. But if you look at history, no other presidential candidate, president, congressman, person, you know, in political power has had this many non-natural cause type deaths surrounding their associates, right? So all these Clinton deaths are murders and suicides and disappearances, and you know, you got to wonder at some point why this pattern's occurring. And you know, I don't believe in coincidences being a common factor of things. You know, typically coincidence is a very rare occurrence of an event. So anyway, I'm the American Iconoclast. Comment below. What do you think? Do you think this is pretty obvious evidence this guy was killed because he was the WikiLeaks whistleblower? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks.